welcome back to Jay vs. Horror. I'm your host, Jay Wall, and today, guys, we're going to be talking about 1989's Edge of Sanity. Now, last week I was doing serial killer films from the late 80s and 90s, like Fear with Ali Sheedy and Relentless with Judd Nelson. Kind of found myself headed down that Breakfast Club road, right? But the way my mind works, guys, I just associate things in weird ways, and so I was thinking about serial killer films from the late 80s and 90s after those films, and Edge of Sanity was the next film that came to mind for me. It's one of my favorite performances from Anthony Perkins. I mean, it's one of his last great performances, and other than Psycho, I really feel like it's probably his best performance. So let's talk about Edge of Sanity, and then I'm going to give you guys a link for the movie so you can go watch it yourself. It's here on YouTube. It's a 1989 American slasher film directed by Gerard Ciccone and starring Anthony Perkins. It mixes elements of Robert Louis Stevenson's classic 1886 novella Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde with a few actual facts and a lot of stories about Jack the Ripper, the real-life serial killer. I think that's the first thing that really attracted me to this story when I was a kid, was that they did a very great job of mixing these two things together. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, it makes perfect sense that someone like that would be Jack the Ripper. Someone living two totally, completely different lives. It also makes sense because of some of the actual facts about the Jack the Ripper case. Like, for instance, the fact that the cuts he made were so precise that for years people have theorized that he was probably a very well-educated surgeon. I'm going to start here, guys, by reading you the basic plot summary from IMDb. When Henry Jekyll's experiments with cocaine have gotten out of control, he transforms into the hideous Jack Hyde. As Hyde, he searches the London streets at night for his prey in whorehouses and opium dens. The police can't catch him, and he has nothing to lose but his mind. And that comes from Mark J. Popp, MJPOPP, at Seawave.com, in case you guys want to go check out some other stuff he's written. I'm going to get a little more in-depth than that. I like the movie a lot more than what most people do, I guess. In the opening scene, we see young Henry Jekyll, who witnesses his father committing adultery with a woman in a barn. His father catches him spying and violently beats him for it. This scars him for life and leads to repressed sadomasochistic longings. From here we flash forward to the 1880s, and we see that Henry is now an adult and a doctor, and he is experimenting with the human psyche when he accidentally ingests a mix of ether and cocaine that creates a new drug and causes him to go insane. He transforms into a being that he calls Edward, but the rest of the world knows as Jack the Ripper. From this point, it almost becomes a kind of drug movie because we see that Henry is now a severe addict and he can't go one single night without doing this stuff. And he's just like Scarface, like passed out in a pile of it at some point. You know, he's smoking it in a glass pipe. He's doing all kinds of crazy shit. He also decides to start using it on other people to make them go crazy, which is an interesting aspect to this movie because they really didn't have to go there with that. They could have just made it where he was consistently hooked on the drug. Because I was caught for 12 years, guys, and if you've never known drug addicts like I have, I can tell you that they're not too big on sharing what they have when they get to that point. There's the early point when they're starting their addiction where they're like in the party phase and it's all about having a good time. But by the time they get to that really ugly point of addiction, they're not really into sharing anymore. So the film kind of moves along like this, and it's really anchored by this great performance from Anthony Perkins. He's playing Dr. Henry Jekyll, who is a very intelligent scientist doctor, but he's also playing Hyde, who is just utterly insane, and we have all been witness to just how great Anthony Perkins is when he's given free rein. I also think the film has a great ending. Now, I'm not going to ruin it for you because I want you to go into it not knowing how it's going to end and see it for yourself because it's actually interesting and kind of weird. Most horror films don't end this way. It's not really a twist, it's just kind of a ending that leaves you to think. I liked it a lot. Anthony Perkins was a very underrated actor, and unfortunately he died September 12, 1992, just 3 years after this film was made. He was noted as an American actor, director, and singer, and nominated for the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, which nobody ever talks about, for his second film, Friendly Persuasion, in 1956. He made a lot of movies from 56 on out to, this period of time. In 1990, I think Psycho 4 came out. But he was forgotten about for those earlier roles because once he became Norman Bates, that just kind of stuck with him. He did other very popular films like 5 Miles to Midnight, Pretty Poison, Murder on the Orient Express from 74, and even Mahogany in 75, but he just never quite beat that Norman Bates pigeonhole. So in a way, kind of like Vincent Price, it was interesting to see the roles he took that allowed him to have some range but kind of still stay in that stereotypical role. Now, let's be honest. Is Edge of Sanity as good as Psycho? No. Is it as good as Psycho 2? Hell no. Is it as good as Psycho 3? Well, that's where I'd probably have to cut in because I like it a little better than the last two Psycho sequels, even though I like those a lot too. It's a very original idea with a great performance from a great actor. The film is also beautifully shot and has great production value for its era. That being said, guys, I am going to give Edge of Sanity 7.5 out of 10. I don't expect everyone to mark it that high. I just remember seeing it as a kid and being like, what the hell is this? And so it's always had that lasting impact with me. My mother was a big Anthony Perkins fan. She thought this guy was like the sexiest man alive, which is a little odd in my opinion. But she did, so we saw anything he was in. All right, guys, that's all we've got on this one. Now, don't forget to like and subscribe. We're going to put the link to our Patreon page in the description below. If you can help us out, donate $1 or $2 a month. That would be great. Help keep the show going. We definitely appreciate it. And we are going to leave you guys with the trailer for 1989's Edge of Sanity. And don't forget to check the description if you guys want to go watch the film for free. And we will talk to you the next time we've got something worth talking about. Bye.
Anthony Perkins.
What if I followed my every instinct completely?
And Anthony Perkins.
He ripped from down there and opened her up to here.
A man and a madman, taking their pleasure on the cutting edge of terror. Edge of Sanity.
You don't seem like such a bad fella to me.
Twice the fear, twice the fun. Twins of terror are better than one.
Because I'm bad.
Mother's gone away.
Lucky day.
Brother's here to stay.
You didn't think I was dead, did you?
Edge of Sanity. It's a ripping good time.